that it's all about eating food together. Roti ka paratha khao, eat food together, wear nice clothes, have nice weddings. I've been to Kurdish weddings, very similar to a Punjabi wedding. It's all about making the boy and girl feel special, knowing they're part of the families get together, and you celebrate being alive. Why? Because as warriors, we can die at any time. As a real warrior, when you see someone in trouble, first thing you do is go to help. You don't say, what's your name? Where do you come from? If you're in distress, I'll go and find out what's the issue. So as a real warrior, you don't know when you're going to go. So as a real warrior, you celebrate life because death's around the corner. So as a Kurdish warrior, what have you been doing to help out the issues and problems in Kurdistan, also called Turkey, also called Syria, also called, well, there's two other sections. What are they in? One's Turkish Kurdistan, not the other one. One's Syria, Iraq, Syria, what's the fourth one? I know, but no, you know the Kurdistan. So, you told me your MMA fight.
I just do a bit of training here.
He was saying that your brother said to him, yeah?
So was Tommy Robinson there at Grenfell Tower?
So I didn't see him. Rumour was one day.
Did you see someone else with him?
At Grenfell.
No, not Grenfell.
No, at Grenfell Tower. Nobody was going to risk coming to Grenfell.
Why?
Who's a naughty boy. Because Grenfell Tower
Yeah.
had London's best.
Yeah.
They had the Rastafarians,
Yeah.
the West Indians,
Yeah.
the Arabs,
Yeah.
the Punjabis, the Pakistanis, the Sikhs, you know, native
What's your name,
Christians.
by the way? Sorry, you didn't introduce yourself to
So
me.
Bhupinder Singh.
Sing.
He's actually been to the park before. He spoke to
So at Grenfell Tower, nobody stupid was going to risk coming to Grenfell.
No, but why did they come to help?
Who?
Tommy Robinson.
Why didn't he come?
Yeah.
He's busy doing his little bits and pieces.
So
isn't
why
he?
is he going to Tommy Robinson and
He's not.
kissing his backside? No,
He
I
isn't.
believe in free
He isn't.
speech.
He is saying
Yeah.
that everybody. So the reason we're at Speaker's Corner, I've been coming here since age 18.
Yeah.
The reason I come to Speaker's Corner is to see and celebrate what's happening in the world. The world is living in London, and the world comes to give their opinion. So me, when I found out about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, I was hearing all these people discuss it, and some were quite heated discussions. First thing I thought, let me go and go and visit Palestine and Israel. So I went to Israel, had a look around, and I went to see the Jewish people, and I went to see the Palestinians, and I went to see all the people, and I said to them, like, what's going on here? Can you explain to me in your words what's going on? And guess what it was? Poor people want to eat food, they want to live in a nice house and have a family. They don't want no grief, they just want to eat food and be happy every day. Rich people, using politicians, want to make money and have power and have big egos and cause conflict. That's the reality of Palestine. Palestinians on both sides want to just eat food and be happy.
I understand that.
Yeah.
You do a lot of...
So for me, the whole world is a playground for us to enjoy ourselves.
Perfect. What's it again?
Call me Singh.
Sing. No.
It's easier.
I was going to ask you, since you're here, what I try and do, because it seems like you're quite, I don't know, maybe this is just like me judging it based on your appearance, but it seems like maybe you're well informed of Sikhism, yeah?
Not only Sikhism, Islam, Kurdish brothers, the Turks, the
Very good.
Arabs,
So I want you
the
to-
Native American
Yeah,
Indians,
yeah.
the Spanish.
So I was going to ask you to kind of break, because the thing is I've been trying to do some research. From time to time I look into Eastern religions, not always, because it's not part of the discourse as much as obviously Abrahamic religions are, in London and the UK and generally speaking. So I want to get I want to tell you what I think of, what I know of Sikhism. You add flesh to the bones, and then we can do a little bit of comparative religious kind of discussion. Yeah? So what I know of Sikhism is...
Before I'm going to go, just stick to your point.
Are you here today?
I just want to ask you a very simple question. He was with Tommy Robinson. Do you condone that?
I believe that he, as a British citizen, has the right
I know
to
he has
go
the
all
right.
around England
I know.
and go and study and meet all
Let me
types of people.
explain.
No problem.
Wait a minute, I met Tommy Robinson. I had a discussion with him.
No problem.
I asked him, who is he?
Yeah.
What has he done? Explain to me what happened in Luton with his family and that. why he started what he started and what happened.
Yeah.
Now I have knowledge of the, you know, these is it called pedo gangs or rapist gangs or grooming gangs? Grooming gangs.
Yeah.
So I have knowledge of grooming for the last 40 years. Yeah, since university. So I used to be first anti-National Front, anti-BNP. Back in the day when I was a youngster, I used to think, you know, we're all human beings, we're all together, and we should all live in peace and harmony, and everybody has the right to exist. Yeah. Then when I got to university, I discovered there were different groups that were only in it for themselves, and I was shocked. It's me, I'm a human being. You are my brother. You are a warrior. You look like a warrior.
Hopefully I am.
Yeah.
I can be
You
quite
look like a
dangerous at
warrior.
times.
No.
I have a
listen.
dangerous side.
You're dangerous if you need to be.
But I let him show that side.
Let me tell you how it works. We as warriors walk around in peace. A warrior knows he first wants happiness. You want to enjoy your life, be a good son to your mother and your father, provide for your family. If trouble comes your way as a warrior, you're always ready for it. You don't want to be, but you always say to trouble go away. Because as a warrior, you know how to deal with trouble.
But he goes to trouble.
Hold on, can I just explain something? I need to explain to my brother.
Do you condone him going to Tommy Robinson?
I need to explain.
I believe.
I know he has a right
I met
to.
Tommy Robinson.
I know. But
I've been to Luton.
Yes.
Because I always go
I
and do
know.
primary research. So like with the Kurds,
Well,
because you know I've got a flat in East London,
Yeah.
and the Kurds were protesting. I said, "What are you protesting?" Because they got all these like weapons and their flags and all that lot. So I studied Kurds, what happened to them and that, what was going on. So I always go and research. So what origin are you from?
He's Egyptian.
Origin. Egyptian.
Yeah,
See me, right? I have to compliment you on your brother who
building the
scored
pyra-
some
for building the
fantastic
pyramids.
goals. No, forget that pyramids. Mo Salah. Yeah, I don't like Liverpool. What I have to say, as an Egyptian, I'm
We
really
need to get in contact with that brother, you know?
Yeah. Seriously, I have to say, football-wise, he's doing it. I don't like Liverpool. I'm a Londoner, and I support London teams. But I have to say, my man is doing it in football.
I've heard that. I don't really watch football.
But I need to go. I really want to know
You go,
something.
go on.
This man, he went and saw Tommy Robinson.
That's
Tommy
what I'm
Robinson
saying.
is known to be,
1 minute.
for the head of counter-terrorism, he said there is no difference between Tommy Robinson and Ajim Chowdhury. We condemn Ajim Chowdhury.
Yeah.
This man is a hate preacher. He went to He went to Tommy Robinson, done a video. Tommy Robinson is the same man who radicalized Darren Oswald to run innocent Muslims over. This man is there smiling and giggling. I know you're not about that. Neither is that Sikh man over there. 1 second. Do you condemn his behavior? And I'm not saying this just for camera, because he knows he's wrong. There's an ice.
So
You know
I
that
went
Sikh friend there?
to,
You know that Sikh friend?
what's it called? Where was the?
That's what I wanna know.
Where the mosque that happened was
Finsbury
Seven
Park.
Sisters,
Finsbury Park,
Finsbury Park. So I went there, and I went to where the accident was, and I was there.
Accident, terror
There's a
attack.
poster of me
Terror
with a
attack.
Muslim, a Jew, Christian. There's us lot standing in a line.
He's
I went
basically
condemning-
saying he's different to Raj. He's got his own.
No, listen,
I wanna know.
The me and him are mates. I'm going to explain something. Right.
But do you agree with what he did?
Hold on, can I
I
explain what
believe
did,
he
though?
has the right
But I know he has a right. I'm not
to
saying nothing to that.
discover and understand all people's viewpoint. Now,
Discover
Tommy
he-
Robinson is a cause of grooming gangs of 30 years of rape, torture, manipulation of innocent girls
That's 1 point.
from the age of 12 onwards up
Yeah.
to like, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, 20,
Yeah.
being groomed and raped and molested over and over again, which I find disgusting.
We all do.
See, there are sisters here,
We all
and
do.
they're all my sisters, regardless of their
Same,
colour or
same,
their creed.
same.
And if anybody was to attack them or
Same.
do anything,
Exactly.
I would protect them
Same.
wholeheartedly
Same.
because they're sisters.
Exactly.
And all of us are raised that way.
100%.
That's our culture, yeah?
100%.
Right. So for me, anybody who does that should be condemned. Now what happened was, because the police, for 40 years,
Yeah.
the Sikhs have been saying to the police,
My own
there's
relative.
grooming gangs
Yeah.
in Birmingham. We started off in Birmingham.
Yeah.
They're sitting outside, like 20-year-old men, they're sitting outside in cars of schools, and they're molesting 13, 14, 15-year-old girls. That's not right. Yeah?
course it's not right.
Please don't make us take the law into our own hands.
Yeah.
Please, can you deal with it? They didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So Sikh brothers took the law into their own hands,
Rightly so.
and they're to sort of politely persuade certain gentlemen they shouldn't sit outside schools and do naughty things with schoolgirls. It's against the
Who
law.
are these people that are doing it?
The grooming gangs.
Who are they?
They're
What label do you give them?
well, see, thing is, I don't want to get into labels
No, why?
because
Are
then,
they
then
Asian? Are they Asian?
no, they're not
We're
Asian.
Asian.
They're not
So
Asian.
Sikhs are not-
1 second. Are they
Well,
Pakistani?
apparently,
Are they
the
Pakistani?
media calls them Asian, but generally they're majority of Pakistan origin.
Okay, so is this now? I just want to know something.
Yeah.
How does Islam fit in there? I want to know where does Islam come into that equation?
So right, I'm hoping
Yeah.
that any good Muslim would not want to molest any girls of any age.
You're not even
of
allowed
any
to touch
color.
their
No
hands.
Muslim would want to
That's
do
right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good Muslims generally get married.
Yeah, to be fair, he's not really making the case.
No, but this is a really important topic. This guy, when we're talking, one second,
But you
bro.
need to let me
You
repeat.
wait.
Let him talk and then you
I'm not
answer.
slandering you.
No, let
You're
him
on
say
camera.
it.
What are you talking about?
Go on, you say it.
Listen.
You say it. Yeah, go on.
If there was KKK
Yeah.
and I said I was with them chilling and making a video,
Yeah.
and you said you was with KKK, and I'm like, yeah, but let me explain why.
False equivalency.
Yeah,
Also,
KKK, that's America.
What's
This
it?
is England.
Let's suppose.
So why don't you say
let's
like
suppose-
National Front
no,
of
no,
BNP?
no, no,
yeah?
Let's suppose he's not as bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything. Tommy Robinson is an Islamophobe that hates.
No, he's not. He was with that foundation. What's it called?
Brother.
What's the guy who comes on?
William.
Huh?
William.
No, but he's with the
William,
guy.
imagine the ones
William
that-
Foundation.
I don't do
Who's the
takfir.
guy
Imagine the
who
ones that
comes on
kafir.
LBC? What's the LBC?
I'm telling you, I don't even do takfir.
What's the
Imagine the ones.
LBC? What's his
Imagine
name?
the ones
Nawaz.
that five star.
No, Majid
He's a-
Nawaz.
he's a-
Listen, is he
he's
good or
not-
bad, Majid Nawaz?
He's not a Muslim.
They don't see him as a
What?
Muslim.
He's
Yeah,
not a Muslim.
man.
Yes, he is.
If
He's got a
Majid
Muslim name. He
Majid
says
Nawaz
he's
is
a
a Muslim, I'm the
He's a
10th from
known.
his gender.
Bipinder,
If Majid Nawaz is a
Yeah,
Muslim.
Majid Nawaz. I thought he's a good
Majid
Muslim.
Nawaz is not a Muslim.
What Majid Nawaz has
He was a
done
maniac.
for Islam and Muslims in
Brother,
this country,
Majid Nawaz has done
in
nothing.
terms of making the indigenous population understand that Muslims are good people.
You know what Majid Nawaz done?
Yeah.
Cheat on his wife in a strip club in Ramadan.
He did what?
He cheated on his wife in a strip club in Ramadan. That's what he did.
So that makes him a
And recently he goes, there's no
I
hellfire.
don't believe you. I don't believe you.
You don't believe me? It's on
I don't believe you.
Bro,
Come on,
go
man.
Google and write
Yeah.
Majid Nawaz strip club. Cameras. Seeing is believing.
Listen, so we have
He's-
to come back to that.
He's not a Muslim.
See,
No.
Until you can prove it.
No, slander.
Until you can
No
prove
problem. No problem. Sisters,
Ellie,
one second.
Ellie, listen.
Turn away, sisters. One
Hold on,
second.
listen.
One
listen,
second.
listen.
No, you don't need to see
Alright,
it. No, one second. No, 1 second.
You can do a reenactment.
1 second. No, you're not going to see it blurred. It's nothing like that. Yeah?
Do a
And by the way, we're not even allowed to look
at
at
the
one.
moment. Can we say, for the sake of argument,
At the moment, let's just.
what's his name again?
1 second.
LBC.
Imagine the world.
Majid Nawaz. At
not
the
Muslim.
moment,
He's not Muslim.
look, right now, all I can say is, yeah,
Fajr, one second.
thank God for Majid Nawaz because he,
Thank God.
whenever racist people cuss brown people, Asians, Muslims and that, my man logically breaks it down and pulls them apart. So sensibly, I think to myself,
Imagine I was filling his pocket, brother. He's filling his pocket.
he's what?
Sorry, bro.
Who's that? 1 second.
Don't show us this one.
No, you can't
Do
see
a
nothing. There's
reenactment.
nothing there, nothing there.
He can do a reenactment.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh, who's that? Who's that?
so how do you know he's not out? He's not in a nightclub.
How do you know he's not in the nightclub? That's a good one.
these are
Next
sisters
picture.
there, man.
Next picture. 1 second.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
No, wait. You're not going to show anything.
I'm gonna
Cameras, don't take it. I don't want to look here.
Don't show it. No, I don't want you to go.
You know what I'm gonna do?
I'll come back.
Good man.
I'm gonna cover. I'm gonna cover.
I'll come back.
I'm gonna cover. Yeah, brother. Look.
Egyptian friends, Muslim
Brother,
Egyptian friends.
you look for yourself. I'm not gonna look. There you go.
It looks photoshopped.
Yeah, it might be Photoshop.
This guy, if he's starting with his own eyes, he's magic.
Alright, look, what we're
I
going to
need
do
to
is
go
we're going to
there
do some
myself
research,
and
and in
actually
2 weeks'
research.
time,
Tell me the
weeks'
place
time,
and
or
I need
next
to
week,
stay there.
Brother, this is if he was a Muslim, he's sinning. Forget that. He's not a Muslim.
but everyone's allowed to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
Brother, I know, but he's not a Muslim. I'm saying the guy's not a Muslim.
But-
He said there's no hellfire.
I don't believe in hellfire. I don't believe in hellfire either.
No, but
I
you're
believe
a
it's made up.
non-Muslim,
But you're
right?
actually not a Muslim.
We respect that. He's a non-Muslim.
I want to get into that discussion though with you. 'Cause I want to discuss.
There's no such a thing as
Discuss it. Look,
hellfire.
I want you to discuss it. All I'm
There's
asking is,
pain. There's pain.
My brother,
when your mum
please,
hits you, that's called hellfire.
my mum doesn't
That's
hit me.
when she slaps you
My mum
with an
flag kicks
Indian
me, yeah.
slipper. Yeah.
No slipper.
And
My
your
mum
dad
uses her
gives
feet
you-
straight.
That's called hell.
Before he goes,
Brother,
yeah,
parents
hold
are
on,
beating
hold on,
you.
hold on.
Brother, I wanted
has
to talk,
slandered
yeah?
me, yeah?
Yeah.
He slandered me earlier and you're doing it now.
So
So let me talk.
Yeah, go on.
Stop
Well,
doing
let him
monologue,
answer
let me
first.
talk,
Give him a
yeah?
chance. Give him a chance.
The thing is,
bro.
I went to that particular shoot,
Yeah.
yeah. One, because I wanted to meet Tommy Robinson my own,
Yeah.
and judge for myself
That's
if he's
right.
a racist.
Is he good or bad? That's
Secondly,
right,
the
yeah.
actual video shoot is nothing to do with Speaker's Corner. He's not coming here. He's told me that. He's going to Twitter.
To be honest with
to
you,
Twitter
I know a lot of
headquarters.
racist
He's
people.
not coming
If he
here.
comes
said
here,
it.
he'll get buried
No, he's not coming here. So
intellectually.
No,
the
1
point is
minute.
that
Listen,
Twitter
can I say
is
something to you?
inconsistent.
You lot are making him like some sort of page 3 model, yeah?
Who?
So all your focus is on Tommy.
Robinson.
There's real racists out here.
I don't want to talk about
There's
that.
National Front. Combat 18. Listen, you know me. You grew up in London, yeah? Grew up in London. It's Combat 18, National Front, BNP who are real racist,
I'm called a
who are
racist.
real racist,
That shows
who
how the
actually
bar
don't
like
like anybody that isn't white.
I never said Tommy Robinson is a racist.
Okay.
I believe he might be racist deep inside, but I have nothing to prove it.
Now, he's
said that
he's
he
got an
said
issue. He's fighting an issue of grooming.
No. He's fighting Islam head on.
No, he's not. No.
Brother,
He's not fighting Islam.
anybody that denies him, look, I was after the guy for 1 year, yeah? I know him, yeah?
It was a disaster.
Are you the one who made the video late at night?
Yes.
Where you went to somebody's house?
Yeah,
and
I didn't go to nobody's house. I was there. I'm saying something simple. Do you, if he's a hate preacher, if there is a person who hates the Sikh religion, if there's a person who hates the Sikh religion,
By the way, they're allowed to. If they want to, they can.
No
I've got
problem.
no
No
issue with
problem.
that.
But they're also causing innocent Sikhs to get killed. Their speech, and I'm there saying, hey, woohoo, yes,
So do you
yeah.
think Tommy
One second.
Robinson's that good?
Tommy Robinson, if he
Is
had the
that good?
chance, he'll slaughter all of us.
No.
That's such a loaded
Shall I tell you something?
One minute.
Shall I tell you
Listen,
something?
Tommy Robinson
Shall I
is
tell you something?
harmless. He's harmless.
Brother.
He's this tall.
Brother. No, Brother, Hitler, I'm asking
How is he
something.
gonna get in the ring?
Hitler, did Hitler come and say, I have a master plan? I'm going to kill all the Jews.
Hitler wrote Mein Kampf in 1923.
One second.
And he started exterminating the Jews in the 40s, 1940s.
He wrote
1 minute,
it.
yeah.
Did he?
But can I say something to you? Can I say something? Wait, stop.
Can I make my point?
Can I say something to you?
Can I make a
So
point?
100 million
Can I make a
Native
point?
Americans were killed in Canada and America. That was a real genocide,
Can I
yeah?
make a point?
Then 100 million South Americans were murdered by the Spanish and the Portuguese. That was a real genocide. 100 million black people were slaughtered in Africa, and to this day, France is being paid £4 billion a year by Muslim and African countries for nothing. What are you doing about it, bro?
No, brother, 1 second. Brother.
What can you do?
Brother,
Deal with them. Deal with the French.
Brother, I can only deal with one thing. I have a little channel and I do Dawah.
Africa is the
Brother,
richest
can I-
continent in the world.
Brother, but we're diverting the topic.
And diamonds and everything.
Brother Singh, we're
All I
diverting
ever
the
see is
topic.
Muslim brothers
Brother Singh.
like talking about
Brother
irrelevant
Singh.
issues and not dealing
No,
with
no, Brother
If
Singh.
I was Islamic, I'd go Africa and I'd help every African country.
We've been to
and
Malawi.
free
We've been to
Africa.
Malawi. 1 second. Brother Singh, I want to make something very clear, yeah?
Go on.
Hate, you need to understand something. When someone has an agenda,
Yeah.
when Hitler had the agenda, he did not come and say, we are going to execute
He wrote
Jews.
Mein Kampf.
Wait,
In
let him
1925.
finish.
My brother, I can
Right,
go home
so
and make
Hitler
a
said-
master plan of how
so
to
Hitler
kill
said
Sikhs.
he's gonna deal
But
with-
if I didn't say in public, it means nothing.
Okay, yeah, go on. carry
So,
on, yeah.
be quiet, please.
Let him finish
Please,
first, let
you
him
know
finish.
you're in the wrong.
Let Ali have a chance.
You know
He's
you're
saying-
in the wrong. You know you're in the wrong.
Go on, Ali, go
Usually I
first.
do this for him. It's a special honor for me.
I thought you wanted to put on yourself, so I put on you.
So, don't leave it there, yeah?
Go on.
Don't show your chest, please. He's a bit of a... He calls this fitna in the land.
Put it on
yeah?
camera,
Corruption. What I'm saying is, Hitler, we need to stop hate
could edit
wherever
that
it
really
comes from.
badly.
Yeah? Reason being is because...
Carry on.
Reason being is because Hitler did not come and automatically say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It was all a step towards it. Nuremberg laws, yeah? We're not going to look at Nuremberg laws. They had banners of Jews with big noses and evil looking here. Why? Because they were preparing the German people to dehumanize the Jews, so when the time comes to kill them, they're ready to pull the trigger. So, what is Tommy Robinson and Britain First doing? Exactly the same thing. Look at these Muslims. You go in there, Fred.
But don't you think
Muslim
everyone
this,
loves
Muslim that.
something? Britain First.
No,
much.
one second. Then why did Darren Osborne, when they checked his daughter's iPad, what was he searching before he carried out the attack? Tommy Robinson, Britain First. So, when he ran them over, what was said on his letter? He quoted Tommy Robinson. That's why the counterterrorism head said Anjem Choudhury and Tommy Robinson are the same.
Yeah,
You know why? Because they both spew hatred, and what do their foot soldiers carry out the attacks? ISIS, what does ISIS do? These kuffar, they kill our, this, that, and some emotional young youth who does know nothing about Islam says, you know what, they're killing our brothers and sisters, it's time we do the same to them. Hate breeds hate.
100%.
My man here goes and licks his backside, and the only reason I'm being harsh is because you deserve it.
Let me
Was you on
talk.
camera?
Let me
Wait,
talk.
wait,
Let me
wait,
talk.
wait, wait. It's his turn
Can
now.
you give me 3 minutes to talk? So we start.
I'll give you 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
5 minutes now.
I went to that particular day. One, I wanted to meet Tommy Robinson because I believe in having dialogue with people, even a Nazi I talked to, because I want to hear their views. I didn't even talk to someone from ISIS to hear their views. I went there, for one thing. That particular event is about free speech, and free speech is being impeded. Twitter is banning Tommy Robinson, but you have Hamas on there. You have Hezbollah. So there's an inconsistency. So what I am doing is not supporting Tommy Robinson. He just organised it. I am supporting free speech. I'm a free speech absolutist until you start.
You know what? You have to give
hatred
Gore
and causing violence towards
in a
people.
Gorda country. You have to
Let
give
me tell you
Gore a bit of
something.
space.
Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. If Abdul Hakim, watch carefully. If Abdul Hakim comes and says to you, "I support ISIS,"
took you a long time to
One
get
second,
there.
brother. 1 second.
Who's Abdul?
One second.
There's a guy
One
I've
second.
called
One
out
second.
for weeks
Watch
and
this
weeks
now.
and it
Watch
doesn't
this
come
now.
up.
Watch this,
God, yeah.
brothers. Watch this. Yeah. If Abdul Hakim comes to you and says, "I am a," you know, I'm not going to use his name. Some guy comes to you and says, "I support ISIS."
Okay.
But I want to fight for the rights and the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
You will never join him. You will never join him. I swear by Allah,
You don't need to
you will
join
not.
him. You can
know what?
discuss with him. You can have a chat
No,
with
one
him.
second.
wouldn't
He
protest
said,
against
no,
him.
1 second. You said Tommy Robinson, I don't support him, but he's speaking about freedom of
So I'll
speech.
give you an
That's why I'm
example.
there.
South
If I
Africa.
can
Do you
make
think
this
it's
point-
fair? Hold on.
Can
Do you think it's
I make
fair
this point?
that
And
Twitter
our
has
boy
banned
said,
him?
Brother, can I speak?
Oh, go on,
I
go
listen to you. A person who's in ISIS, imagine Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi coming here, and he's saying to him, "You know what? I changed my mind.
False
I support them.
equivalency.
We killed some people,
He,
but
he
1
compares it to
second,
Hitler.
1 second. He's going to say,
and
I
a guy that's
believe."
killed people. Tommy Robinson hasn't
Can I
killed no
speak?
one yet.
You're right. His foot soldiers do it. So,
No,
No,
prove it.
not
Prove it.
really.
Prove it.
Darren Osborne.
Listen,
Ali,
listen.
wait, hold on. There's
Brother,
You're
brother,
overrating Tommy
you're-
Robinson.
You're contradicting
Hold on,
No
yourself.
he's
Salah,
getting heated, yeah.
you
He's
will
emotional.
never
He's
join
becoming
Abdul-
emotional, yeah. So
I'm
let me
emotional.
talk to the real
You will
man in the
never-
equation.
Yeah. You want to get exposed?
Hold on,
Let me talk to the real man.
Let me talk to the real man.
He's a real man, no problem.
Because he's
No, but listen,
at the
you're
people.
holding.
Hold on.
Talk to the fake man for 2 more minutes.
He looks younger than him. He looks older than him.
I mean, he's getting emotional.
One
He's getting
second.
emotional.
He's hurting him, that's why.
Can I just
Would
say
you,
something?
would you,
Do
no,
you
no,
think it's
no.
consistent?
Would you go and join
Hold on.
ISIS?
Do you think it's
Would you go and join ISIS for a cause that you
Hold
believe
on.
in?
He's not going to join
Would
ISIS.
you? Would you?
Would he go and do charity work in Syria? Yeah. Would he do charity
Let me
work
ask
in
you something.
Syria?
Let me ask you something.
If he met
Do you think
ISIS
it's
fighters,
correct
he'd
There you
say,
go.
That's
He will
banned
never
Tommy
join anyone
Robinson?
like that. But
they're
Tommy
not
Robinson, no
banning
problem.
Hamas or Hezbollah
Well, let me ask you, you started off
on
by-
Twitter, because that's the whole point of the whole shoot.
You started off by saying you're a free speech absolute.
Up
he believed
to the
free
point
speech
where you do not cause
sensibly
harm.
He doesn't realize he went to the wrong man. Watch this now.
Okay. Can you come back
Watch
a
this
bit?
now.
Oh, sorry.
I was a mercy to him.
Which
Watch
one's
this
the
now.
camera?
That's
That one,
fine.
that one.
I would have learned.
That one over there.
I'm not always right, so let
Anyway,
me
I'm only
learn.
short,
You tell me
so-
where
I'm
I'm
not going
wrong.
to talk.
No problem. Do you accept that plagiarism laws, defamation laws, are acceptable laws that every civilized society should have?
Yeah, I mean copyright and
So
plagiarism. Yeah.
plagiarism can be in the kind of speech or written material, yeah?
Yeah.
Defamation, so for example, if I say that you did something that you didn't do and I defend your character, in this country you have something called defamation laws, yeah? So that means to say that there is a censorship in almost all civilized societies of what you call free speech.
I don't disagree with you on that.
No, you did because you're.
I said myself, my own personal beliefs.
Your
If I had my way, I'd be a free speech absolute. But I'm not running the country.
No, but Raj.
I don't write the rules.
Raj.
So I'm living by the UK's rule.
I
And
understand.
all I'm saying to you is that the reason I've done the video shoot with Tommy Robinson,
care about this.
hold on, because he's slandering me
but
saying
I'm
that I'm an
not
extremist. But the reason I did it
Not
was because
extremist. He's very moderate. If you want to meet extremist seats,
He's
moderate.
moderate.
Why are you?
Brother Six, I'm just asking a few questions and I'll I think this is blocking
If you look at his turn,
I was going to ask you, because now we have to kind of see if you're consistent.
you'll
with
notice
what
a
you
small
believe in.
difference.
Yeah, I'm not always consistent. I have
No
to say
problem,
that.
that's why you have to
I'm
be
a human
correct.
being. So
Yeah, all of us are.
I make mistakes myself. I'm not perfect.
Yes, I'm sure you
By
are.
any means.
Okay,
By
no
any
problem.
means. And you said something about my educational standard. I got a degree and 3 A
Let's not
levels.
change the topic.
I don't know. You said in the car with Saeed that Tommy Robinson, Steve, and me are not
topic.
very
I'm not talking
educated.
about you.
So you did. I'll put it up next week.
I don't talk about you.
But you said my name. There you go.
Oh, go ahead.
I know you can say it, but I'm going to refute it.
So you started off by saying you're
Careful, don't repeat yourself.
you're a free speech absolutist, yeah?
I said
He would like
I
to
would
be.
like to be.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's limits in this country.
Otherwise, it's just going to come
Yeah.
back. Number two, how do you feel about, because we always talk about freedom of speech, but we don't talk about freedom of expression. So usually it's the same kind of thing. So would you accept that freedom of expression is also a tenet of any democratic society? Would you also have the same attitude with freedom of expression?
When you say freedom of expression, are you talking about?
That which does
you need
not
to
impede,
elaborate.
that which does not contravene someone's physical rights. So at the point where it doesn't harm anyone.
Yeah.
The same way.
Yeah, up to, yeah. I mean, yeah, I am. But I know this flaws.
Within limits.
Within limits. And I know it's going to be flaws.
Once again, I'm just asking that because I wanted to know where you stand.
Yeah. I didn't say my belief here is practical or is actually. Look at that. This is what you call friendship now. We're mending bridges.
Make sure you put the janazah on.
He's turned it off, or he's going to turn it backwards.
No, he's Kurdish freedom fighter.
Fighting for your freedom.
So just to understand, you started off by saying you believe in absolute freedom of speech to the point where it doesn't cause harm to others. You believe in absolute freedom of expression to the point where it doesn't.
I said I would want it to be, but I know the law doesn't permit it in this country.
Within limits. You say within limits.
Yeah, within limits.
These are your principles.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about the law. I'm not talking about what the law says. I'm just talking about your moral
Yeah, my
standard.
own moral standard.
So your moral standard is that you believe in free speech to the point where it doesn't cause harm. You believe in freedom of expression to the point where it doesn't cause harm. Which is why you justify sitting with Tony Robertson and these things.
No, I justify sitting with him because I believe in having discourse with everybody. Even a Nazi.
You don't need to justify.
Because a lot of people are saying, why did I talk to
I
him?
don't care.
Next
I want to hear him
So,
Let's go to the
one-to-one.
next one.
Yeah.
My points are this. Already we've shown that you're not consistent with that so much as you still accept that there's a need for plagiarism laws, defamation laws, etc. Which would curtail free speech necessarily, yeah? And it would censor people's speech. But also, which is really interesting, Mr. Singh, I didn't see you there when we were asking to pray collectively, because that's freedom of expression.
Oh, I agree Muslims should be allowed to pray.
Oh, now you do.
No, I always have. I've never had one bit of issue with it.
Look into the camera and say
I've never had an issue with the praying. You should protest it.
Here's the point I'm asking, right?
The pray is not an
You're
issue.
praying.
No,
One
no,
minute.
hold on.
You're praying.
This is
They
good. If we
banned
get him
it.
to say that, then it's very nice. Collective prayer.
No issue.
There was a big commotion for the past 2 weeks
Yeah, I think
about
it's silly.
that. You had ample opportunity and time, just as you did when you went to Tommy Robinson, if you actually have those principles of freedom of expression to the point where it doesn't cause harm. Unless your argument is that actually our prayer causes harm, why don't you come now?
I've said it 100 times. Just because it's not on video,
Let him finish.
it doesn't
Let
mean
him
it didn't
finish.
happen.
Ekmed, wait,
Yeah.
let him finish.
I condemn the people
Hello?
that stopped the praying. I think praying is
So
not
you wanted to pray and then
That's very
what?
Well, he's not the one that done it.
do you condemn Tom Robinson?
No, I don't
No,
condemn Tommy
you-
Robinson.
Why do you want to condemn Tommy Robinson?
Why would I condemn him?
He's a Gora,
I
you
don't
live in a
care about
Gora
all
country.
dealings of Tommy. I'm not interested in Tom Robinson.
Go on and carry on.
I just believe that those who say they believe in an absolute freedom of speech and or expression, they're shooting themselves in the foot majorly. Because almost there are many laws in both institutions and inscribed into the law which prohibit that kind of thing. For example, freedom of expression, we know for example like child pornography is not allowed. Okay, child pornography is not so you can argue is would harm the child. But also indecent images of children of a certain age is not allowed. But then there's less of a case for harm, but more of a case for censorship. So I can continually make more and more.
Yeah, the free,
more and more
can I say
examples.
the free speech,
And what was the issue? What's the
it's not,
question? How many
it's
cards?
flawed.
The point
It
is,
is
what's the
flawed,
actual
very
question?
flawed.
also in this country, we do have laws against, like, for example, racism. So you can't say certain things against certain
Mohammed.
people, certain races.
Oh, so it's Mo.
If we believe in an absolute freedom
Mo
of
Salah.
expression, then that may necessitate some business owners expressing themselves in whatever which way by allowing only certain people to work. That goes against the Equality Act and equality and other principles of egalitarian. So the point I'm making to you is, the thing is, we think that these words, which are really become like the slogans for the Western world, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, democracy, liberalism, all these things, we have the assumption that they're all working in contradistinction. They're not working in contradistinction. There is serious contradictions and inconsistencies, as well as disadvantages that is associated with almost every one of those slogans that you try to pioneer. So the point is, when people say freedom of speech, and now it's funny because now the fascists are using this term, freedom of speech and freedom of expression, to what extent can freedom of speech and expression be, instantiated in the context of, in the context of also a legal framework, and a framework which claims to be a pluralistic one, and a capitalistic framework. These things don't work in contradistinction. These work, there are points of contradiction between things like freedom of expression, freedom of speech, democracy, capitalism. They don't work in contradistinction. So if you've decided now to put on the garb of the Western man and put on Enlightenment ideas on, because maybe you've been influenced in that way, then you have you're not going to have a coherent policy each time. What's going to end up happening is, and what is happening is, we see the far right using these tools and these political or philosophical ideas to their advantage. But freedom of expression, people like, for example, Alexis de Tocqueville, who is one of the pioneers of democracy. He wrote Democracy in America. I can't remember the name of his book, but he wrote extensively on democracy, and he talked about extensively the tyranny of the majority. How comes we don't find, and so did J.S. Mill, by the way, in his On Liberty. Well, how comes we don't find people like Tommy Robinson talking about those parts of democracy, those parts of pluralism, those parts of that right-wing narrative? They don't talk about those parts of democracy which the initial kind of philosophical heads talked about, which advantage minorities.
Can I just
what that does for me, like
for me, it's really simple.
Just to finish off,
The people in charge will always make the rules and change the rules accordingly.
Just to finish off though, Raj, I feel like as a minority, who's probably, and you yourself, you're against the National Front, of course. So as minorities, what we have to do is we have to kind of, I'm not going to say we unite ideologically, we can unite on discourse. What we don't want to see is people that have probably felt the same pain of discrimination from the 60s or 70s onwards when you guys started to immigrate into this country, or your forefathers started to, now you're coming and turning, making a U-turn 180 degrees.
No, I'm not.
Backstabbing the same minority group that you're a part of. Hoping to...
You don't know the...
Can I
elaborate? I don't want to go too much into what...
Let him answer.
I don't want to go too much into what... I don't want to go too much into what Tommy Robinson and me said. One of the things I did say to him that, and I said to him, I said, the people that you're hanging around with, some of them are very extreme. Generation Identity, BNP, Britain First. I find them to be racist. But I don't find Tommy Robinson to be racist. He may be in extreme in his views in terms of some of Islam, because he does go mad. Every time somebody said to me last time on Twitter, I don't look at Twitter, that all he does is Islam, Islam, Islam. So I did check it. It is pretty crazy. It is Islam, 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 Islam.
Like Hitler did.
All negativity. So he has faults in himself, but I don't believe that he's a type of person that we should totally ignore. He's not a Nazi. Now, if they were Nazis, I'd say, I'd still speak to them, but we disregard them.
Raj, what I'm saying to you...
So Raj, to add to that, so Tommy Robinson is a symptom of a problem of what happened in Luton. Tommy Robinson, listen to me.
Also, his wife was in a relationship.
So I went around, I've been around England.
No, it's true.
We'll discuss that later.
It's very vital.
What's more important to discuss is this here, look. You've got real dangerous elitists, real racists who you don't get to see. So for example, when you go for a job, the fact that you give your name in as an ethnic name means you're already 50% cancelled. When they see you and your colour, you're cancelled then. Real racism.
And when you're a Muslim, it's cancelled more.
Again, more.
Yes.
So these are real issues. See, for me, life is about what is a real issue. Real issue is child poverty. Why in 2018 are there poor Muslim kids, black kids, Asian kids? There shouldn't be no poor kids. In England, 2018, in charge of the Commonwealth, there should not be poor children in England, especially not in London, where you've got £25 million flats, you've got Arabs doing wheel spins in Ferraris and getting the cars lifted and saying, I've got another two. There shouldn't be any poor kids starving. See me, first thing I'd do is I'd say to some of them Arab kids, could you give us some of your Ferraris so we can sell them and use that for poor children?
I get your point. But
so for me, it's about rich versus poor. See, labels, you have to look at who's making the labels.
Mr. Singh.
Yeah, mostly. I don't know if you hang around in Leicester Square and that. It's mostly Arab plates, Dubai plates.
But what about
Mr. Singh? What I'm trying to forge with you and Raj, you're welcome to this, Because what I'm saying is, look, as minorities, we have to look out for each other. We actually do, Because the thing is, if you look at England is more homogenous than people think. London isn't, but England, the UK is. Look at the amount of minorities that exist in the UK. There's not that many comparative to the white majority. It's not as multicultural a place as you think it is. If you look at the census data, it's not. London is quite multicultural. Birmingham is very multicultural.
All the cities are multicultural. So you've got London, Birmingham, all the cities are. But the countryside and the coast is not.
What I'm saying to you, Raj, and this is my request, or even my advice, if you like. I would just say to you, look, yeah, me and you are different religions, for example. We come from different parts of the world, but one thing that actually makes us quite similar, or makes all of us quite similar here, is the fact that we're all generationally, that we all come from different generations of immigrants, yeah? So our parents have come as immigrants, so the second or third generation or whatever. You have to understand something here. You don't know how politics is going to... We don't know the political direction of certain things. We don't know what they're going to decide to do.
I do my research.
No, in the future, right?
No, even in the future, listen.
Well,
You've got to understand, rich people have always suppressed poor people. That's history of the world.
Okay.
First, rich people used armies, but armies cost a lot of money. Armies, you have to feed them. So army was replaced by religion. Then religion was used to manipulate poor people. After religion, money was used to manipulate poor people. Now technology is being used to manipulate poor people. It's always been a battle of rich versus poor. If you go to Saudi Arabia and you go and speak to all the rich Arabs, they're not religious. You know that and I know that. Well, I'm just saying, if you go to the Vatican, you go to the Vatican in Rome, and you sit and chill with some of them boys, they're not religious.
What I wanted to put to you guys is as follows, right? That we need to now think of getting along.
No, we do.
No, hold on, but let me tell you what we mean.
I'll give you an example. You're Mo.
Yeah.
Nice name. Where do you come from? You're Londoner, yeah? Right, whereabouts in London?
Near the area.
Where?
What you want me to tell the people?
Like
I've got a lot of enemies.
Edgware Road. No,
I'll tell you later, man. I'll tell you later.
No, which area? West London. Wait, West London, East London, North London.
I'll tell you later.
No, West London.
Let's say like Northwest London.
Right, Northwest London. So I was in Grenfell Tower for 6 months. That's your local manor. So I was in Grenfell Tower for 6 months. So why was I there every day? I've got other things to do. Because London was in trouble. The people we expected to help those families in Grenfell Tower, they stayed away. So the Red Cross, Salvation Army, a lot of charities.
Guess what I'm trying to say to you guys is, look, let's not make this a matter of, okay, like Raj and others, and we get the feeling now, not the Sikh community. I reckon the Sikh, because look, you've got to be careful. Right?
I don't speak for the Sikh community.
No, I know you don't, but you're
I'm alone.
Hold on.
I'm alone.
You speak for yourself.
I speak for myself. I'm a lone wolf always have been.
Here's what I see, right?
Yeah, go on.
I don't see a friction necessarily between the Sikh and the Muslim community in this country. There might have been one historically in India, okay, that's a different
Minor,
story.
it's a very small one.
But there isn't one here.
Yes, right.
So what I want to say is that we want to continue the good relationship between the Muslims and the Sikhs.
Yeah.
What you're doing, I fear, might jeopardize that, in my opinion.
Right.
Because
No. Do you think Tommy Robinson's that good?
Just a second. Now listen.
Tommy Robinson is a little pebble. The Tory party, the Tory party, rich conservatives, the government.
In my country, they say the little stone you belittle will crack somebody's head. Yeah. So you need to be careful with the little stones and another stone that might
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying, please. This is what I'm saying to you kindly. I'm not saying this to you like you can decide to do whatever you want. But what I'm saying to you here is this. This is a good opportunity for us here at Speakers Squad. A lot of thousands of people watch our videos. To do community bridge, to build community bridges, of understanding. Now we might have a discussion, for example, on Sikhism, on Islam, on these things. But at the end of it, we're all on the same kind of side.
No, we're human beings at the end of it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you yourself, you've got to be, everyone here is responsible for their own actions.
I know,
right?
I'm
So what I'm saying is,
it took me a long time to decide on doing that decision.
Raj, listen, I understand what you're under.
I didn't just turn up willy-nilly.
I understand.
Anyway, look,
Do a video with Abdul Hakim.
I do.
Go do a video. Do a video.
But
anybody you want.
Can I say something?
Anybody you want.
I know what you're saying.
We want to build a bridge. We don't want to make this into like, we don't want to make everything happen. We don't want to. So what I'm saying is, if anyone wants to happen, for instance, you've got to be sensitive of certain things.
Yeah, I know.
Let me can I just finish this sentence, please? I beg you. You understand that the Muslim community are very much averse to certain ultra-right people, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
I might know that seriously, like the Jewish community might be completely averse to certain characters that might be anti-Semitic, yeah? I might know, you might inform me that, look, there's someone that the Sikh community, this person's being, in the Sikh people's opinion, obnoxious to us, yeah? Now, I could decide, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to photograph with him, I'm going to speak to him, I'm going to or I could decide, you know what, because I do care about Sikh neighbours, I do care about them, and I know, but by the way, this has to be said, the Sikhs have done a lot of good in this country, yeah? In terms of, especially in terms of like charity and stuff like that, they're quite underrated in that regard, yeah?
Turn the camera to him.
What I'm saying to you, Raj, seriously, they open up the temples for food and drink and homeless people, and the work that they do is really good. Now, what I don't want to happen is for someone like yourself to undermine the good work of many Sikhs.
No, but he won't.
Hold on. Can I understand?
So that's what I'm saying.
He won't do that.
Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Right, just repent.
Hold on. Mohammed, you need to let me talk. You need to let me talk. And don't disturb me for a couple of minutes.
Yes, go ahead.
When I first come here, I admit I was so extreme that I hated everybody. My relative was groomed here, so I had a lot of hate in my heart. So let me just talk. I didn't like Muslims, I didn't like anyone. Then I come and I've learned so much in 6 months. I like Salafis, I like Shamsi, I want to go to a mosque, I want to do this, I want to do that. So I have moved my position. A lot of people call me a snake, but I'm not a snake. I learn, I learn, and then I adjust my behaviour, and I start saying, oh, not all Muslims, not this. So people think I'm extreme now, but I'm way into the middle now. So if you met me 8 months ago, if you met me 8 months ago, now I'm in the middle. But I still believe, I still believe that in terms of Tommy Robinson, he's a misunderstood guy who's angry like I was, and the only way to stop anger is to speak.
That's right.
And so when I come here, and I speak
Tommy
to so many
Robinson has
people,
changed a lot
the dialogue
from where he started to where he is now.
I've seen that as
The
well.
work he did at the William Foundation.
I have to say something.
When he went on TV, I listened to what he had to say, and I thought
They paid him to do that. Did you know that? He admitted that he was going into prison and he couldn't pay for his mortgage, so he had an agreement.
you know the work.
With
William Foundation.
Imagine the one was going to pay for his wife's fees while he's in prison.
Listen, you know
that
the
he
work.
did
Let me tell you,
Robinson.
brother, the work that was done in the last 3 years by William Foundation and other organisations of intellectuals meant that the extremes of Islamic extreme youth and right extreme both shut up.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you
Because
something?
what you found was,
In my opinion,
that
that's
we
not
can
correct,
have,
innit?
we can have
This is
intellectual
it.
discussions.
Yeah.
What we can't do is hate. Hatred is the failure of life. Listen, war is the failure of mankind. Hatred is the failure of your life. If you hate people, you're lost. Hatred is what? Hatred is the failure of life. It's a misunderstanding.
Yeah, I know. I've got a lot of hate in my
Good
heart.
example. Happiness.
So
Mo's a happy bloke. He's a happy bloke. You're a happy bloke. That means you understand life. You have a certain education and conditioning. So I would say you have like a British education and conditioning. Right? No, I'm just saying.
I've got both,
you
by the
have.
way. I've
I
got
personally
some
think
Arabic stuff as well.
that you've got someone. See me. I went around the world. Asked the Native Americans what happened to them. Asked the Aboriginals what happened to them, and I relearnt world history. So that everything they taught me in school was actually lies. Yeah?
What might happen
All
to the
these
Muslims?
cowboys and Indian stuff is all Hollywood bakwas.
What might happen to the Muslims?
The real history of the
If
world
people still support
is
Tommy
about
you not that
minorities being oppressed and empires and colonialism. You know what the French did? What you should be teaching him is about what the French did in Africa and North and the Middle East. That's what you want to learn.
But can I say something that? Can I say something that softens my heart?
So listen, so for me now, England, listen, I am so grateful to the universe to be born in London.
So,
I'm a Londoner. I grew up with mixed people,
Sorry, I apologise.
At university, everywhere. I grew up with mixed people, and whenever I'd meet one group of people who are a bit extreme in their views, I'd also meet the counter-narrative people. So I met a lot of good Muslims. I've got a lot of good Muslim friends who actually do their prayer, who are actually intelligent, who actually, all I can say is they're angels. Yeah, because they do their prayers, they're very balanced, they can discuss anything with anyone, and you know what? They're good mates, they're good